Let's kick it off. So today we're going to go through a workshop talking about mastering your elevator pitch and doing engaging walk-ins. So just some tips for you guys on what's your elevator pitch, what you're using it. Obviously in training we have some specific things we've done, but you can kind of make it your own, and we'll talk a lot about that. So to go through a roadmap for today, we're going to go through the best practices for cold calls and elevator pitches. I've actually got a 5-minute video of a pro talk that I did, so I'll share that because it was very specific on those best practices. Then we'll jump into strategies for successfully canvassing for appointments. Steve and I have both canvassed, well, pretty much our whole career. So we definitely got some good pointers there and what's worked for us. And then Steve and I are going to do a little bit of role playing. So I'm going to just do some cold call role playing where I am the sales rep, he is the merchant, and he's going to throw some curveballs, and hopefully I can hit them. So we'll see. And then in the end, we'll wrap up with just a Q&A. As a reminder, the Q&A can be about the things we're talking about, or they can be really anything about the business. You've got my undivided attention in these meetings. So if there's other questions that you want to talk through, I'm happy to answer those. As far as Q&A, when we're going through the different, the role playing or the strategies, or even after the best practice videos, feel free to jump in and ask questions. We want this to be conversational and make sure you get the most out of this time. So now it's gonna be a quick video, and then we will see you in a couple minutes. Best practices, cold calls, and elevator pitches. Step one is the greeting. Don't ask them how they're doing. Get to the point and while you're calling. For example, when I'm calling someone, I'm going to say, "Hey, this is Joe." I'm not going to say, "Hey, this is Joe with Tex Living." All I'm doing by saying my business name is confusing the customer, making them think, who is Joe with Tex Living, instead of "this is Joe," and then I get to the reason for my call. We're not IBM. We're not Apple. No one's going to know us as a small company when we're calling the businesses, and it's just going to confuse them. So step two, the reason for your call. This is one of the most important parts of the process, especially when you're on the phone. You need to be natural, confident, and concise when you're stating the reason for your call. So for example, this is Joe. The reason for my call, and the reason you want to start with the reason for my call, is it immediately makes the prospect perk up because they know they've got to respond to you. So the reason for my call is I work with merchants like you to help them build stronger relationships with their customers and increase their revenue. That's it. You're done with the reason for your call. After stating the reason for your call, then you're going to ask for the appointment. Typically, once you ask for the appointment, that's going to lead to step 3, to walk through follow-up questions. So questions are the best way to start an engaging conversation and get buy-in from the prospect so that you can win the meeting. For example, you can ask a prospect, do you have a way to quickly and immediately reach 98% of your customers with a few clicks of a button? In most cases, that's going to engage them because it's a thought-provoking question. Next, step 4 is you've got to manage rebuttals. And the best way to manage rebuttals is to listen, acknowledge, and then ask more thought-provoking follow-up questions to get them back engaged. For example, one that we hear all the time is, "I just don't have the money." Now, when managing rebuttals, we want to listen and make sure we heard it. And then we want to acknowledge and tell them back what we heard. I understand that you don't have money for different programs currently. And then you want to follow up with a thought-provoking question. So in this case, if they say, "I don't have money," a good thought-provoking question would be, do you currently have a way to draw back loyal customers that may have lapsed? So for example, let's say I've come into your business. I had a fantastic experience. The food was great. The service was great. But for whatever reason, I just haven't been there in 20 or 30 days. Do you currently have an automatic way to talk to me and be in my pocket and say, "Joe, we miss you. Come back in and get $2 off"? And in most cases, they're going to respond with no. So then I'm going to follow up that question with, do you think that would add value to your business? If we could drive upwards of 25% of your lapsed customers in each month, making a program that doesn't cost you any money, but actually makes you money. And at that point, I've managed the rebuttal, and I'm going to go to and say, "I'd love to come by, visit with you next week, and show you exactly how we can do that." So step 5 is get the win. The ultimate win on each call is to schedule a visit with the prospect. That's what you're selling. You're selling the meeting. So here's a few additional tips for successfully setting appointments. Number 1, you've got to add value. When you're asking those thought-provoking questions we talked about earlier, it's a great way to add value, because if they think you can add value to their business, they're more likely to give you an appointment. Second, sell the appointment, not the product. So many times when I'm bringing on new reps, one thing I see them doing is talking about all the great features and benefits of our product. That's not important. What's important is when I'm talking to a merchant, do they think I can add value to their business through my conversation on the phone? Not can my product add value, can I personally add value? Make the conversation about their challenges and needs, not about what you want. I'm going to focus on things that will help their business and make them think, that could add value to my business. You want to be conversational. One great way to do this is practice by recording yourself and then listen back to your pitch on your role play with a colleague. Once you get good at recording yourself, then actually role play with friends and family. That's going to get you much better and more comfortable with dealing with people on the phone. Next, you want to always get an email address and try to get a cell phone number. If you get the cell phone number, send them a text. And I do this even when I'm calling and I'm talking to what I would call a gatekeeper. It's not the actual decision maker. Make sure you ask for the email address and ask for the cell phone number. Most times you won't get the cell phone number, but if you do, send them a text. What's the worst that can happen? They say no. You didn't have the business in the first place.
And that video there is part of one of our pro talks, so it kind of expands upon that, and so I can we can share that with you as well. So definitely have that ability for you guys to go back and watch that. So one thing I talk a lot about in a lot of our training is process, and if you look at that video, you got your 5 steps to successfully scheduling meetings. Now, there's different ways that you can go about your elevator pitch, different ways, different questions you want to ask. But for me, any sales, any good successful salesperson is going to have a good sales process. Any good business person is going to have processes for every department of their business. And as you continue to build the business at scale, the reason you want great processes is because it makes it's repeatable, and it also helps with training. My goal with my reps is not to get them to do exactly what I just showed you. It's not to get them to sound like robots and say the exact same thing that I say. But the goal is to them have a framework of which they are comfortable with that conversation to lead the call, to get that win and get that. So let's talk a little bit about building a strong elevator. So when you think about an elevator pitch, this is something, the reason they call it that is you've got 30 seconds, right? You're in the elevator, someone says, what do you do? And you want that to sound, exciting, thought-provoking, and get them curious about you and your business. And so that's what a strong elevator pitch will do. It's also part of what you say when you're walking in businesses, when you're on your cold call. That intro after, the reason for my call, that's going to be partially your elevator pitch. In that video, I did a really, really simple one. But obviously you can expand that elevator pitch to be a little bit more dynamic and a little bit longer. I would still recommend, as you see the third point here, just keep it short and engaging, and really practice it. I mean, it should be natural once you've really got that elevator pitch down. So kind of go through some strategies to building a successful elevator pitch. One, focus on value proposition. Now, you got to be real careful not to focus on features and benefits, and really talk about how you think about how you're going to articulate the value you and your product bring to the market. So you can be more high level, maybe explain some different solutions you solve to improve a client's business. And then if you have measurable results, which you can use this with your case studies, share some numbers. Have that as part of your elevator pitch. One little line about maybe a customer or a specific number that you are related to. Now, if you're new in the business, you don't have these specific stats yet, but study our case studies, take one of those stats, and then use that when you're out, doing walk-ins and making calls. Second thing you want to do is you want to tailor to your audience. So if I'm calling a restaurant, I'm going to tailor my elevator pitch to restaurants and food service. So again, if I'm going to restaurants, I'm going to tailor my elevator pitch to restaurants. So for example, if I know I'm calling on, let's just say a coffee shop. When I would actually have information when I go to do my calls on that coffee shop, I may have one stat that I know that's really good for a local coffee shop, once I have local coffee shops. And I would talk about, instead of we help businesses, I would say we help coffee shops like you increase revenue with an automated loyalty and text communication platform. Right? Just putting that industry into your elevator pitch makes it really valuable. The fact that, like, oh, they specialize with coffee shops, they specialize with restaurants, they specialize in retail, even though you may sell to a broader type of business. Third is keep it short and engaging. So an effective elevator pitch should be really no more than 30 seconds long. Especially in this business, you can get it down to 30 seconds and then get into that Q&A with them and get them talking and actually asking questions about how you're going to actually help their business. And have a hook. So we talked about, you're tailoring it to the audience, have different hooks that you can use based on the industries that you're calling on. And a hook could be, a fantastic statistic. We typically drive back an average of 25% of your lapsed customers. And I'll always, when I'm doing a hook or a question, one of the things that I like to do is integrate a story. So you heard it in the video that was before this, where I talked about, let's imagine I came into your business, had a fantastic experience. The food was good, the service was good, but for whatever reason, I just haven't been back. Do you have a way to automatically drive me back with a text and be in my pocket and literally, buzz me and say, Joe, we miss you, come back and get $2 off or whatever. So having a hook that can actually relate to their business and help them visualize a customer coming in, a customer leaving, and a customer not returning without having your product. Even though at this point, they still don't even know what the product is overall, they just know that it's a communication platform. Once you get done with your elevator pitch, I would end it with a compelling call to action. Typically, when you look at what we're trying to accomplish, it's to schedule a meeting, whether you're doing it face to face or you're doing it via Zoom. That's your call to action. Ask for the meeting, and then you want to, at that point, maybe you have a special that you're doing. We're offering 10 businesses right now an opportunity to get our solution for free for 30 days, or we're going to do some onboarding. Whatever your call to action that you want to offer, have that ready and end your elevator pitch with that. And at the end, just practice. We do a lot of role playing in our business, and it's funny because I'll start role playing with our team, and what happens, even I get rusty, right? I create all these processes. I sold, for 20 years, but I don't do a lot of sales now, so even I get rusty. So the team will kind of press me, and I've got to really work to get back in the swing of things, because I'm not practicing enough, right? And so really spend time practicing. I mentioned it in the other video, doing recordings, doing role playing with friends and family and coworkers. The team doesn't always like it, but it's just so much more successful. I see reps becoming so much more successful when they can do it in front of their peers, because it's hard to do it in front of your peers. Once you navigate and get really an expert at doing it with your peers, it's going to be a lot easier when you're talking to a stranger. So also, the thing about practicing and kind of refining it, it's just going to become more natural. You're going to sound more confident when you're making the calls and walking. Any questions so far before I go about elevator pitches, about the process of how we make calls and do cold calling? You need to unmute yourself if you have a question.
Best practices, cold calls.
Don't need to hear that. Awesome. So let's talk a little about canvassing for appointments. So if you are out doing face-to-face meetings, I'm going to highly recommend you coordinate time in between meetings to canvass appointments. Steve, who's on the call here today, is, he's an expert at canvassing. He prefers to canvass than pick up the phones. He does both. We have blitzes, and when he was out selling, he obviously helps a lot with the white label business now, but he still does sell merchants. And when he's out performing meetings, one of the things he always does, he has a plan that I've got an hour, maybe 2 hours in between meetings, and I'm going to canvass right around where my last meeting was. And by doing that, you can actually talk about the people he met with. And so we'll kind of talk about some different strategies that we've used over the last 14 years to successfully set appointments by canvassing. And even sometimes what happens is they're like, hey, I've got time now. You have half an hour to meet with me. And in many cases, we go back and get our kiosk, we sit down and we do our meeting at that point. And many times we walked in and closed a piece of business just by walking in the door that day. So it's a great strategy. It does eat up a lot of time and it's easy. One thing I always caution on is like, try to have a goal. Like if I've got 2 hours, I'm going to try to walk in 10 businesses and get one appointment. Like set some goals for yourself so you're not just looking around, driving around, and use Google Maps. You can go to Google Maps, have your location, and type in restaurants. It'll show you all the restaurants right there. You can just start canvassing. So let's talk about the strategy. So one, it goes without saying, being professional and personable. One thing that does matter, I mean, you think about first impressions, that they do matter, and I would dress appropriately. Now, that doesn't mean go, put on a suit. I would say business has gotten a lot more casual in the last 15 years. And if you walk in with a suit when you're, selling a restaurant, typically I think you're asking for money or you're asking for forgiveness. And so dress accordingly to the industry you're calling on. If I'm calling on banks, I probably would be in a suit. But if I'm calling on restaurants and retailers, maybe a polo, maybe a button up, you just want to look professional, groomed well. It does make a difference. So I would definitely think about that when you're going out in the field. Second, use testimonials. So Steve's one of the best at this. I've seen him in action. So there's a couple different ways you can go about using testimonials. As you start building your customer base, you're going to have lots of local businesses. Local businesses, especially in smaller communities, they know the names of other local businesses. And you can literally say, oh yeah, I've got, over at Java Joe's, I'm working with Steve over there, or I just met with Steve and they're really, really excited about the opportunity. And it just kind of brings the barriers down that like, I'm a local guy, I'm a local gal, and I'm out there in the marketplace, or this company's out in the marketplace helping businesses just like mine. And if you have specific results from that business that's local that they might know, go ahead and, throw that line in there. And just, again, you want to be prepared. You want to have it kind of written out and knowing what you're going to talk about when you're canvassing. Special promotions, like, so you can have different offers or promotions when you're walking in to kind of really get them to convert and actually give you a meeting. And if you go to our 30-day rapid launch training course, we kind of talk about some different promotions and ways that you can get people to at least give you the time to meet. You can use that for cold calling on the phone as well as canvassing for appointments. What we like to do is have something that is going to be either free or some kind of money back guarantee, something along those lines. And then what you can do is once you're selling them, that's only one small product, like text messaging only. We don't get the loyalty, we don't get the kiosk. And if they want to upgrade, then they've got to pay for that. Study your objections. Obviously, when you go out in the field, like we can train you, and in training, we talk about some of the objections that we deal with, but you're going to just be time and practice and repetitions to really get good at overcoming objections. Our team's here to help with as well. If you have objections that come up, I know we had one that got emailed in this week. A good example was someone reached out and a couple people they had called are using Toast. And they said, well, Toast already has all the products. They can do everything you're doing. And, I asked the white label partner, when I'm talking to them about like what Toast can do, did you actually research what Toast can do? Did you ask specific questions? And that really just creates a conversation, right? When you're talking to the prospect about what Toast can or can't do. And what's interesting in this situation is Toast actually doesn't have any text marketing solutions. They do have the ability to text your orders ready or your tables ready, but they don't have any way to help a merchant build a large database of customers through the loyalty program or otherwise that they can send text messages to. So they're not even close to having the same products and services that we have. And that's a common objection that we hear is like, oh, my platform already does that. all they're doing is trying to get you off the phone, right? We're interrupting people when we're trying to get them to schedule a meeting. So we've got to ask the right questions. You know, so if someone says they already got a text platform, oh, that's fantastic. Which one are you using? How many people do you have in it? And, you know, how are you tracking redemptions? And like, I want to understand and dig deeper into that. And in many cases, what happens is like, oh, no, actually, we can't do that. I'm not sending any text messages out. And then I can go in, well, let me, you know, you've already got that platform. I'd love to come in, learn a little about how you are communicating with your customers. We'll spend some time kind of talking about strategies that you can deploy. Maybe our product's a good fit, maybe it's not, but worst case, this is one of my favorite lines, but worst case, I'm going to give you some good ideas that you can go implement in your business. Is going to help you, you know, increase revenue and build strong relationships with customers. How does that sound? You know, so there's some other little tricks there you can use once someone gives you the objection to go back and get that meeting. Another one's price. Price is just the easiest way to try to get a bad salesperson off the phone, like someone who's just not great at sales. For me, when I think about price, like our goal in the business, yes, there is an investment, and people know when you're calling, we're trying to sell them something. And you're absolutely correct, Mr. You know, customer. There is a price to the product, but most of our partners or most of our accounts and merchants are typically seeing 10 times return on investment of what they're paying for some just as little time as 3 to 6 months. So for example, if you're spending $99 a month with me, you're going to make $1,000. If I could show you specifics on how that's doing, would you think that'd be valuable? Would you take $1,000 for 100? Well, yeah, I would. And then I would go back into the close. Well, what I would like to do is come in, learn a little bit more about your business, your communication strategy. Worst case, I always go to, you know, worst case, I give you some great ideas on how you can, you know, potentially implement in your current cloud. Kind of the second to last one here, use technology. Now, I'm not a big fan. I put it on there. I'm not a big fan of walking in with you know, your portfolio and your iPad. Definitely not a big fan of walking in with a kiosk. I don't teach my team to do that. But if you have a phone, you can have some pictures, you know, readily available, save them in an album. And if the conversation comes up and you want to just, as you start talking to them, flip the phone and show them a couple of things about the product as you're having that conversation. And so now you're, you know, 30, 60-second elevator skips. This is mainly face-to-face, that 30 to 60-second elevator pitch happens. You start having a Q&A. They're curious. They're asking some questions back and forth. And a lot of our product is visual, so you can literally show them. You can have a couple of case study snapshots right there on your phone. You can do a tablet as well. The challenge when you come in with a portfolio, a tablet, they know you're in sales, right? You're a sales guy, you've got it written all over you. But if you come in looking like a customer, like anyone else, they're going to be more polite in the beginning. They're not going to try to just completely shut you down. And that'll give you a better chance if you just have the phone and pull it out. Last, spend money. And what I really mean by this is like, you've got to eat lunch. If you like coffee or tea, go to some coffee shops and have a cup of tea or have some coffee. If you're having dinner, you know, at the end of these, while you're having coffee, at the end of lunch or at the end of dinner, before you're done, ask to meet the owner. So, you know, and I would always compliment whoever is going to go get the owner for you. Had a very fantastic experience. I'd love to meet the owner. Owner comes over, do your elevator pitch. Hi, I'm Joe. Really enjoyed. I'd always compliment them on what you enjoyed about their business. You think about when people start a business, it's their baby, and when you tell them what you liked about it, be specific. Don't be. I'd be careful not to be just generic. Like Susan was a fantastic server. I mean, you must really train well. The ribs are really good. Or just be specific on things you enjoyed about it, and then do your elevator pitch and ask for the meeting to come back. Any questions on canvassing? All right. Showtime, Steve. There you go.
Okay, all right.
So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna do a couple role play scenarios. Really, this is more for you to kind of see how we role play it in our company. Because the idea is I want you to be going back, in role playing on your own. Again, record calls to start if you get a little uncomfortable doing this. But I would definitely recommend role playing. We do it really every week in our company. It's a big part of how we do business, because then we can coach. Before I jump into that, another thing to recommend as you start building your business, we actually through HubSpot, our CRM, we record every phone call in the states that we can anyway. And what's great about that is our sales reps will tag their manager in that call, and we can then go and coach on that specific call on live calls. But role playing is just a great way to kind of get you more comfortable, and you can throw way more curveballs than usually you can get it, doing live calls. All right, so Steve, I'll be the sales rep, and we're just gonna do a phone call, and you can be Steve's Pizza.
Sure.
Awesome. Good news, guys. I just asked them about 3 hours ago to jump on here and do role playing with me, so this ought to be fun. All right, let's go. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, I speak with Steve, please.
Yeah, this is he.
Hey, Steve, this is Joe. The reason for my call is I work with pizza shops like yourself to help them build stronger relationships with their customers through our text communication and loyalty platform. I was going to be in the area next Tuesday. I would love to come by, learn a little bit more about how you're currently communicating with your customers, and share how we've helped other pizza shops in the area. How does that sound?
Well, I don't know, Joe. I don't know about my availability. You could just stop in, I guess, and I'll see if I can make time for you. I mean, I'm not sure I know exactly what it is you do.
Well, that's a great point, Stephen. We'll spend definitely some time in our call kind of talking a little bit more about what we do, but let me give you a high level of what we do. Our main goal is to help businesses with a loyalty program and a text communication platform. And so at the end of the day, we're going to help you track customers' habits and drive them in more often and actually track when we're driving them in. So let me ask you a question, Steve. Let's say I come to your pizza shop, have a fantastic experience, pizza's good, but for some reason I just haven't, I haven't ordered in 20, 30 days. Do you currently have a way to automatically reach out and say, Steve, we miss you at Steve's Pizza. Come in and get $1 off a slice?
No, no.
You
No,
don't.
I mean, we advertise, we do a little advertising.
Awesome. Awesome. So do you think the ability to automatically, without you doing anything, automatically to talk to customers that are loyal customers and getting them to spend more money automatically because they lapsed, do you think that would be powerful for your business?
So what do you mean by automatically? How are you going to do that?
Through our loyalty program, and these are the things that I'll show you when we meet. We've got several different tools. That's just one tool that I'm talking about, and that's why I want to sit down, learn a little bit more about your business and see if it's a good fit, and then show you how we've helped other pizza shops do just that.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if I want to get in any more contracts with anybody.
Well, good thing we don't do
Uh, You
contracts.
know, you
Actually,
don't.
that's
Okay.
that's a great point. One of the things that we've always done as a business is we want to add value, we want to prove our worth to our merchants, and so we never make them sign a long-term contract. Everything's month to month. If it's not working, quite frankly, our owners always say we deserve to be fired if we're not adding value.
Okay. Well, I don't. It sounds like it's a pretty good thing. It may be too expensive for me right now, um, so I wouldn't want to waste your time.
No, I don't think it'll be too expensive. We have other pizza shops that are, similar size to yours they're doing fantastic. And at the end of the day, this is a program where, yeah, there's a little bit of investment on the front end as you start building your customer base. But this is a program that you should be making money and getting a return on investment after the first month. Like you should literally be making more than you're paying us. Most of our clients tend to see between 10 to 15 times ROI within 3 to 9 months.
Hmm.
So what that means, if let's just for example say you're spending $100 with us, within short period of time we're going to be driving in $1,000 a month to your business in additional revenue that you can track, and I'll show you exactly how we do that when we meet.
Okay. Well, is this something you could send to me, or I mean, how much time would it take?
I need about, 15 minutes to half an hour for Q&A and presenting. And then typically most meetings go about 45 minutes because, if most clients get engaged, they want to dive deeper into the software and deeper into kind of setting up how it would work for them. So I'd say, max 45 minutes to an hour max.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what I'll do, Steve. If you're, maybe what I'll do is Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I'll eat a late lunch and have me a slice while I'm there. So you'll make a little money off that. How about that?
All right. I'll give you a little bit of time. I can't promise an hour, but I'll give you some time to show me
Sounds good.
what you got.
Steve, let me get your email address so I can send you an invite, and then
Mhm.
also your cell phone number, and then I'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Steve at Tony's Pizza, or Steve at Steve's Pizza. Um, and I'll give you my cell phone number, and it's 270-792-8146.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve.
All right.
Perfect. So that kind of gives you an idea of just kind of what the role playing looks like. When we actually, interestingly enough, we're doing a bunch of role playing on Monday. We've got the whole team coming in, and they're not perfect, right? There was 3 or 4 things where if I was going back and analyzing my role play, I could say, well, probably could have done that a little bit different. But we want it to be as natural as possible, which means there's not going to be a perfect call. But the goal is to have that perfect ending, which is someone's going to win on every sales call. Either Steve was going to talk me into why he couldn't meet, or I was going to talk him into why he needed to meet with me. Right. And that's the game I've always played to make it more fun, because cold calling, it sucks. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's hard. People hang up on you. And you got to make it a game. If you're competitive, like, make it a game for yourself, have fun with it. And I think you'll find that, when we do blitzes, like as a team, we're competing with each other. Even sometimes I hadn't done it in a while, but I would jump in with our team and start making cold calls with them, which is quite fun. But yeah, make it a competition. Set some specific goals for yourself. Like, if I'm going to do a blitz day today, I want to get 5 appointments, and I'm going to, have a minimum of 125 dials. Because what happens is, the majority of the time you don't get anyone on the phone, or you get a gatekeeper, and you're collecting all this information. You're, set up some templates so you can follow up with emails, things like that. But again, yeah, just make it a game. Have fun with it. And the cold calling part of the business in any business is a grind. But it works. And we've sold thousands and thousands of customers literally from cold calling and blitzing once a week, and then doing walk-ins in between meetings. That's literally how we built our business into an 8-figure business. It wasn't through marketing. It was literally through cold calling. We've tested marketing over the years, but what's worked best for us is having reps on the phone in that local community, going out and meeting face to face. So awesome. Any kind of turn it over now just for a Q&A. Obviously, you can ask questions about the subject matter today, or you can jump in about any questions you got. I've got, another 10 or 15 minutes that we can have Q&A. If there's any questions you've got about the business, about selling, about anything, product, you name it, I'm here to chat.
Joe. Hello.
Yeah, Tim, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing terrific.
Hey, I saw Lucy on there. If I could just tell her that I did send the access for GoDaddy, if she's available, if she saw that. And Joe, I had a question about, I talked to you before about hiring people, and you said you did it through W-2. I've never done that. I'd like to, if you could just go over that for a minute, and what kind of price range you started at people.
Yeah.
Versus just kicking tires the other way.
Great question. So I've hired both. I've built our company off W-2 sales reps. For example, Steve started with me in 2012 as a W-2. And the reason, I'll tell you my reasoning I like W-2. There's 2 reasons. One, I can control their time.
Right.
I'm paying for their time, therefore I can set quotas, I can set specific goals, and also I can control the messaging and the training. It's hard to do that when you have a 1099 rep. So that's one thing I've always loved about having W-2 sales reps.
The challenge is it's expensive, it's capital intensive, and you can easily make mistakes. And I mean, I've probably made hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes from bad hires over the last 14 years in this business. Luckily, I make those mistakes quickly and I get rid of them fast because I know typically within 30 days that, you know, when they were going through the hiring process, one thing I can never know is do they really have the work ethic to be successful? They might be a good communicator, but if they don't put the work in, you just won't be successful. And so you figure that out pretty quick.
Right.
The way we paid our reps though, we've had 1099 and W-2, very little 1099, but the way we've always paid our W-2 is that there's a base salary. The base salaries now are up to typically around 44 to 48,000 a year. Depending on
When you started, if you don't, I don't mean to break in, but what were they when you started, or you know, how did that structure, how'd that come about?
it's a little, I'm not sure it's real relative because this was when I hired my first outside sales rep was 12 years ago. So
Oh, okay, I
the
got you.
market's just so different. It actually even changed more after COVID. But when we first started, I was hiring $24,000 a year was the base 12 years ago. It quickly we found out that was a little too low, and but we had higher commissions on those plans. And our retention wasn't that great unless they were really good sales reps. So shortly after, say by 2013, 2014, it was closer to that $36,000 range. And then now it's in those 40s. So we have a salary, and then we actually are lucky enough that they get full health benefits and, you know, other benefits from being a decent sized company. And then we also, but they didn't have that in the beginning, right? So we didn't have benefits for the first probably 5-6 years in business. Steve, you remember the first time you got healthcare? It was probably 5 or 6 years in the business. But then we pay them a new acquisition bonus. And so their minimum quota is 6 new locations per month. And we would pay anywhere, depending on where the salary range was, between $150 to maybe $300 as a new client acquisition. So when you're doing this, the one challenge is you're investing in the future, right? But now I've got customers that have been paying us every single month for, you know, 12 years now. We've got customers been around that long. And so my acquisition cost when you take the sales rep, the new acquisition bonus, and then we also did a residual. Typically it's around 10%. Residual because do a smaller residual because we're paying we're paying salaries and new clients.
Right.
So we do a smaller residual there so they can still build a book of business. And yeah, that's the 3 ways we pay them. We've tested stuff over the years where we do quarterly bonuses. We don't really have anything set up like that. We tested some of that, but right now, every time we hire reps, it's just those three payment methods.
So you give them the salary and then the acquisition bonus, and then they start the residuals on top of that as well?
Yep. And they can get to, you know, if they're closing 6 deals per month, you know, year 2, they can get to a 6-figure income.
Right. So if you're paying them $4,000 a month for 48,000 or around there, or $3,000 at 36, and then then the customer acquisition bonus and then the residual, that's not half bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, they can make a living, right? And that's the reason, like, I want reps that can at least feed their family when they're going to work for me, because now 1099 is different because they're doing side hustles and you're not getting 100% of their time. So that's a different animal.
Right.
But, you know, if you pay people too little, well, then they get desperate.
They're always looking someplace else.
Yeah. And they cut corners when they're selling the product. They don't, you know, it's all about the sell instead of helping people. And, you know, we've always had this mentality of like, we want to serve our clients, we want to serve our partners. And, you know, if you're underpaying people, you're going to get, you know, you're not going to get the best results you want when it comes to your culture. So.
Did you ever try doing a draw against commissions, or just always a salary?
I've never done a draw. I've not been a huge fan of those. If I was going to do a draw, I would potentially do that for a 1099 person.
Right. Well, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant that. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's there. I mean, there's some companies have done it and been very successful. I'm not something I'm got experience with or an expert in.
Right.
really sticky.
I just mean, I have no experience whatsoever in hiring W-2 people. I'll just be upfront with you on that. I've hired sales reps 1099, but I never have run a W-2 type organization.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
would
mind
say,
if I, do you mind if I throw a couple of points in on this?
yeah,
for
go
him?
ahead.
Keep in mind that on top of any salary, if you're considering a W-2, you got to add about 13% of your back end payroll and government tax costs that as an employer you pay, like unemployment tax and stuff like that, right, Joe?
That is correct. Yep. You got
Plus the cost of any benefits that you have, and also be aware of any laws about mandatory benefits once you reach a certain size organization. But
that's 50
one
employees. So the 50 employees is when you got I think it's 50 or 100 is when those mandatory benefits kick in.
Now I can tell you, sir, that my plan is I'm not going to be doing and I have some experience on both sides as a manager for companies hiring W-2 people on a similar pay plan to what Joe mentioned, and also as an entrepreneur working as a 1099 myself, and also hiring people on 1099. And what I plan on doing is offering two options to the businesses because cash flow is the issue. And so my commission plan for my sales reps is going to be, you can sign them up for a small setup fee and a monthly, and then you get a small commission, or you can give them a discount to pay by the year instead of by the month for a base, and then just pay their overage. And that gives you upfront cash flow. And a lot of times, if you're in front of the right business owner, you give them a 25% discount for prepaying for a year. And my plan is different. I know a lot of guys are doing like the free trial to get the customer, or whatever. I'm a closer. I'm not doing free trials. I'm going for the money. So that does make me different
Right.
than a lot of people. But I've got no compunction about looking that business owner in the eye and showing them, $3,000 or $4,000 worth of value and asking them for $800. And if you do that, then now you can give the sales rep 400 or 500, make a few hundred, and now you've got your residuals off of the text overages, and you're walking away with a profit instead of fronting that money. Just food for thought.
Right. All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Yep. And that brings up a good point. We don't believe in giving the stuff away free either. But a lot of times when you're just getting started, it's helpful to get your momentum and confidence and actually close some deals. And if you look at the first kind of onboarding 30-day rapid launch, what we talk about there is, like, if I was going to offer something free and it was in my business, I'm literally going to have like 500 texts, and it's text only. You don't get the loyalty, you don't get the kiosk. All I use that is to get the meeting. We've got a free program that's 500 texts a month, and it gives you ability to upsell, right? And so a lot of big software companies have really been successful having something that gets you a lead or gets you a meeting, and they call it that freemium model, but you're really not giving but a really tiny bit of your value to get that meeting. And if they decide to take that 500 text or 250 text or whatever it is not going to be a lot of text messages for them, and all they can use is one part of your platform. So that's going to give you the ability to get the meeting. So to Jason's point, you want to go out there and make money, not give away stuff for free. And if you do decide that you want to have a free trial or a free program, make sure it's very, very limited, and you use it to get yourself meetings with decision makers. Is my
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Awesome. Any other Q&A here? Any other questions about the product, about the sales process?
I just probably
Hey.
been a little slower on getting started on some of the things with the webpage and the logos and things. I'm probably driving Lucy nuts over there as far as getting her straightened out.
Never,
Oh.
Tim. You're great.
All right.
I got a question. When you send us the demo kiosk, it's kind of programmed already and it's ready to go, right? What is the difference between the kiosk that we're getting and the kiosk as far as the programming, not the kiosk itself, so as far as what's programmed already? What is the difference when we order the kiosk for the customer or the business owner that we got to do that's different from the kiosk that we just received? What's the difference?
Okay. Who is this? It says Lending Source. So I'm just make sure I'm.
Yeah, this is Julius.
Oh, Julius, how you doing, sir?
Good, good.
Yeah, so when you close a customer that is going to be using the kiosk, when you go to sign that customer up, you choose if it's with or without loyalty, right? And so that lets the system know that there's going to be a kiosk customer that either has a loyalty program or it's just going to be a sign up kiosk only, right? When you also, once you go through the sign up process, it'll ask you to pick a template. And that template, there's like 7 templates that have different designs. Now, when I say designs, it's the background design's different. The way it's structured with the sign up offer up top, the digital loyalty at the bottom left, and the button on the right that's sign up, check in, and redeem. There's a couple minor differences if it's not loyalty, but the structure of the way the tablet is designed is the exact same. You just pick the theme that you want when you're signing the customer up. And so once you've done that, it's in our system. We know that the thing that it's going to be, you go to your inside your platform, you submit a kiosk request form, and you just go step by step. You answer the questions, and it asks you which client it's for. We ship it out. Once we ship it out to you, we can even ship it to your in a unmarked box without without our logo or brand on it, directly to the merchant. Once you receive the kiosk, you take it out of the box, you plug it in, it turns on. You make sure it's connected to Wi-Fi if you're using Wi-Fi only. If you're using LTE, you wait for the LTE to come on. You click the one app that's on there, so it's going to have the app. You launch it, and it's going to be the theme that you picked when you signed up the customer, and it's going to have the sign up offer that you entered when you signed up the customer, and it's going to have the loyalty program that you set up whenever you were signing up the customer. So we ask all those questions as part of the sign up process, and it's automatically done for you. Does that answer your
Now,
question?
when you said loyalty program or kiosk only, what do you mean by that?
So when you're, and once I think I was looking, once you get into Trainio, this will make a lot more sense, but I'll
Okay.
definitely explain it to you here. You have the option, like you go to sell a customer, they may not want to use a loyalty program, right? You can pick and choose what solutions inside this vast platform that customer wants to use when you're using the kiosk. So when you're setting up a new customer to ask you that question, is it with or without loyalty? So if they're using with loyalty, then you're gonna enter the sign up offer, you're gonna enter the loyalty offer, and the number of check-ins. If it's without loyalty, then you just put the sign up offer, and the kiosk is used for customers to sign up. So they enter their cell phone number, they enter their first name. And then if there's an offer sent out, whether it's an automated text or there's a text alert that has an offer that's to be redeemed, then it just drives into that kiosk, they enter their cell phone number, and they would redeem the offer at the kiosk there. And so there's 2 different types of programs, loyalty, non-loyalty. The web app works the same way. If it's a non-loyalty account, you just don't have the loyalty. There's no loyalty program integrated into the software for that customer.
Okay. Now, when they send out a text and they send out a picture text, does that count as one text, one picture text?
Well, if they send out a picture text to 100 people, then it would be 100 MMS.
Okay. And then when they send let's say it comes with a offer, so that's considered another cost or another usage that they're using. So I'm trying to make sure that when they do send it, I see it as one text,
one MMS,
one picture text.
One MMS gives you 800 characters. So you can offer everything. It's one MMS with the picture and the text, which is up to 800 characters. Then when if there's an offer attached to that and a customer comes in and they redeem the offer, well, then once they've redeemed that offer, it will send them a claim text, which will go into their usage, which would be one SMS, not one MMS, would be one SMS. So they would be charged for that one SMS for the claim text. But let's say you have 1,000 people you send an offer out to, and you have a 2.5% redemption rate. So you're going to have 25 SMSs that you're charged for that as well. But I don't think the merchant's gonna mind if they have a, you know, $10 average ticket, that's gonna drive in $250. $20 average ticket, that's gonna drive in $500.
Okay,
Good questions.
okay.
Actually, can I just point out that last night I actually, or yesterday, I submitted a ticket to reprogram my kiosk because I gave my demo kiosk to somebody. And you just reminded me when you talked about picking the background theme from the 7 or 8 options. I didn't even think of that on the submission because it didn't cue me to do that. So, and this is a haunted house type attraction that I gave my kiosk to. Do you, so I realized, hey, the answer right now is send, pick one out and send a note over to Brandy or whatever to make sure that when y'all reprogram that, when you change the background to this. But do you think that it would make sense if you submit a request to reprogram an existing one that there's a reminder to say, hey, which background do you want on this reprogram as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could probably add that to Reich. We're actually building out a new system that'll allow you to go in there and edit it eventually.
Thank God.
It's gonna be, it's a pretty big, it sounds like it's a pretty big project to actually get it where you can completely edit everything, but it's
Sure.
something he's working on, right now. But yeah, we can add that to Reich, for the reprogramming.
Yeah, I mean, it cued me to upload their picture for for their logo, but it didn't cue me to say, hey, which background do you want? So just food for thought.
Yeah, typically, there's not a lot of reprogramming that goes on, right? I guess if a customer cancels and you're getting the kiosk back, typically you're signing up the new customer, getting a new kiosk and keeping your demo kiosk to actually perform meetings. And so we actually don't do a whole lot of reprogramming, a lot less than you might think.
Makes sense.
Got another 6 minutes for Q&A here, so feel free to throw them at me.
Oh, okay. Um, let's see. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. So when we're offering the text, let's say we're offering 2,500 and then 500 MMS picture, do you often get where the business owners get confused, right? So if I'm a business owner, I'm not thinking about SMS and pictures and there's a different pricing and all that. I'm thinking about just sending, I got 2,500 texts, right? They're not thinking about, there's another plan, which is 1,000 picture text that costs us a little bit, a little bit more. So do you guys often put it side by side, like, 2,500 text and 2,500 picture text? Because you see what I'm saying? As a business owner, I'm not thinking about the 1,000 picture text if I want to send pictures.
I think
You
when
see what
you're
I'm saying? I'm on.
marketing, you kind of do though. If you're a business owner and you're planning your marketing, like I spend tons of money on marketing, and I know exactly which ad I'm spending X on, and I've got different things that I do and different budgets for picture, different budget for SMS. So it's less of an issue than you might think. We are launching a new pricing program, more advanced, something we've done in our other platform that we don't have for our white label partners yet, which will allow you to give credit value. And this will be launching hopefully at the end of May. But at the latest, it'll launch in June, where you'll just have a credit value. So you could choose to do it the way you're doing it, the way we're doing it now, or you could say you get 5,000 credits, and for every SMS, it's 1 credit, and for every MMS, it's 2 credits, which will solve that problem you're talking about. And you'll have that access here in the next 30 to 45 days to do that. It hasn't been a real issue though, to do it that way. It's on the current program, it's probably 50-50. We do have another platform that's not as advanced. It's the TL Connects platform that we built the business on. The newer white label platform has a lot more tools. That one does have the credit-based platform though. And we also have, probably 2,500 clients on the pricing that, we're talking about today, where you charge SMS a different price than MMS. And it's pretty standard in the industry as well. So it hasn't been a deterrent. And what I always you want to try to prepare yourself to what the merchant is going to, respond to, like what you're doing. But I'd be careful to make big, bold assumptions about what an owner thinks until you get out there and actually start experiencing it, right? So a good example is I was talking earlier about, oh, how do we compete with Toast because they do everything that we do? I'm like, well, did you actually do the research and look at what Toast does? They don't do anything we do. They don't even offer the same products. But someone told them they did, and they didn't do the research. And their assumption is everyone's using Toast is never going to use us. And I'm, that's just not the case. And take it a step further, like even if Toast did have a similar product, they've got about 9% of the market share, just to use them as an example, kind of pick on them, in the POS space. They do have an email marketing platform, but you can obviously easily sell against that. So it hadn't been a real issue, Julius, but we'll be able to solve that problem for you though, with the credit-based system in the next 45 days.
Okay.
I don't want to repeat something, but I heard about the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The kiosk again. Somebody said something about a demo. Is there different kiosks? Is there a demo one, or is it just?
No, there is a demo kiosk that is in a demo version of the software. So you could actually take it to a merchant, use it our reps always carry a demo kiosk so they can actually let them touch, feel it, picture where it's going to be in their store, even can check in, and it allows you to do multiple check-ins that day. So it is the same exact kiosk that the merchant would use. It's just in a demo version.
Is Lucy? Do you know if that's what I have as well?
Yes, you have the demo kiosk. It's the exact same as a normal kiosk.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
At time-
And what's the time frame with the website? I know you guys helped us develop the website, put our logo on there. What's the time frame on that? Because it seems like I will have to wait for the website to come out and the business card to come out and all that. What's the time frame on that?
You don't actually have to wait on all that to go out and sell and start building your client list. Have you went through our 30-day rapid launch training course?
Well, I'm in the process of of watching all the videos because there's a lot of information, and at the same time, I got to kind of doing my own business, so I'm trying to squeeze everything in.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, I understand that I wouldn't need the website, but it's a lot for me. It would be a lot easier, I think, if I actually had everything ready, so that way I can show the business owner,
You have
this is
you
what
have a login. You have an account and you have the ability to log in and sign up customers as soon as you integrate your Stripe. And the website, absolutely, it's fully branded. So if people are looking at your website, when you're selling them, you're not, I'm not discounting the fact that having that website, but you've already got access to all the presentations and everything. So in theory, like if you go through training, get your target list. You could be making calls the first week as a partner while we're building out your logo and your website, if you know the business name. Quite frankly, I haven't carried a business card in years. I don't. Like I meet with big, large CEOs, and I don't trade business cards anymore. I get their contact information. We should share it via our phone, and I email back and forth, right? We have lead behinds. Our sales reps were lead behinds. When I first started selling this product, I didn't have any lead behinds. I went in, scheduled meetings, did my presentation. We had a real crappy website back then. We got a good one now, but to your point, if you want to wait for the website, it typically takes, we say we'll have you fully launched within, we say 4 weeks. It's typically a little quicker than that. A lot of that depends on you approving the logo. Then we take and convert that logo over for you, right? We convert the logo and put it on the presentation and everything. But yeah, that shouldn't slow you down from building your list, starting to set appointments. And as soon as you get your Stripe account and it's connected to your bank account, you could sign up a customer in theory 24 hours after you sign up as a white label partner, if you already have people set up. So, because you've got that access and login to your admin portal. It just doesn't have, it's got the Get Texting logo right now. Because if you don't have a logo, it's not updated to your brand, but it still works. And there's still you've got that subdomain where customers could log in if they were to sign up before your website's done. And once that subdomain, once your website goes live, if they still went to that subdomain, it redirects to your new login page.
Okay.
But I will say most people, the first 30 days is learning, it's planning, it's getting all of your target list, at least that first week. First week or two, and then, practicing, going through the presentation and studying. Like if you've seen the presentation yet, that we give you, it literally has talking points. This is the same presentation. We haven't really made many changes to it in the last 5 years. Same one Steve sells with every time he's out in the field. And we've got talking points of what we talk about at each slide, the questions we ask, that entire process. You'll learn when you go through training or obviously just studying it, you'll be able to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
And
So
one
the
point is on that gettexting.co, there's nothing there that leads them to any other company, not even Joe's company. It's completely like what I would call a blind site. So your worst case scenario is if you wanted to make some temporary flyers or some temporary business cards and you wanted to have a website, you could put the gettexting.co on there. There's no phone number on there. There's no other company name on there. There's nothing that would lead them to anybody but you with your number on the flyer, but you'd still be able to advertise that website until yours is fully up and running. Which I actually did that a little bit. So food for thought there.
All right. So the kiosk that I have right now, all I got to do is plug it up, turn it on, and it is. I don't have to do anything else to it. The demo kiosk that I have right now.
No, I mean, you got a demo kiosk?
Yeah, I got it. I got it yesterday.
Okay, yeah, you just plug it in. There's only one thing you can do on it. It's completely locked. We lock down our kiosk too, right? I mean, there's only one app in the middle of the screen. You just push that app and it's about as intuitive and self-explanatory as you can get. You push the button after you go to settings, connect to Wi-Fi. Did he do an LTE unit? I don't know. If he did an LTE unit, Lucy, do you know if he did an LTE unit?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so it's already connected to Verizon. So literally you look at the top, you wait for it to connect just like you would your phone. And you just click the Moki app and it's going to launch the demo kiosk, which is connected to your demo account that's already been set up. Lucy, I'm assuming, has that already been approved by the carriers, his demo account?
Let me check.
Awesome. We'll let Lucy check on that and then we'll jump.
Can I ask you a quick question, but something different for a second?
Yeah, I do need to wrap up
Okay.
because I'm already 5 minutes over and I got another call here in about 5 minutes. So I do wrap up. But yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
It was just about the business cards. Is there a spot on there where I could just get like a line, and if I ordered just say 1,000, I could give a rep an inch or so of cards and they just write their name on? Is there a spot like that, or?
I don't think so. We have a templated business card that we created that will put your logo and the person's name on there. And I think they're all high gloss, which I guess you could do. I guess you could. Yeah, I would actually send in a ticket request. We might could just remove the name and you could write it in with a Sharpie, I guess, potentially. But I'm not certain about that, but I'd have to get our marketing team because they deal with all the templates and, we've got it set up where, we use the same template.
I got you.
But they might could just remove the name and you write it above it. So
Okay. And just until they got up and running, and I can say that they're
actually, yeah, I just got notification or we can do that. So.
okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, I was something else. Your number, that was a different person. Julius, your number has been approved. So you'll actually, you enter the kiosk, and you'll be able to, sign up and see the whole process. Lucy, can you make a note and reach out about Tim's question and follow up with Tim about doing his business cards with no name on them so they could write with a Sharpie on and get
Well,
dinged?
yeah, I get mine.
Absolutely.
Obviously. These are just for reps, so I don't have to wait for them. I get them started. Here's a couple inches of cards, whatever. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, Lucy, if you don't mind checking on that for Tim, that'd be great.
Okay. And just a quick shout out, Lucy and Jillian, you have some great employees there. They do a great job, just so in case you don't hear that enough.
I'm glad to hear it. It's funny you called it shout outs. We do shout outs weekly as a team. So I love hearing them come from our partners. That's fantastic to hear.
There you go.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Tim. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. Hopefully you found it helpful and a great Q&A. And that's one of the main reasons we do this weekly, is so that you can ask any kind of questions. And, I think it's a good place for good time for us to all to kind of connect and answer the questions you got, but also learn some strategies that we've deployed over the last 14 years to build our company. So best of luck out there, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, Tim.